Barack Obama rides roughshod over the Constitution and basically is trying to eliminate the concept of a debt limit. That's what we'll talk about in today's video. This is a breathtaking, unbelievable power grab, and he should not be permitted to go through with it. Obama said on January 1st that he is considering using the 14th Amendment to avoid any vote on the debt limit and give the President and Congress the authority to borrow as much money as they want, spend as much and borrow as much, without any limitation at all. Here's how he plans to do it. Right after the Civil War, the 13th Amendment, as you saw in the movie Lincoln, was passed while the fighting was still going on. And right after the Civil War, President Johnson, who was allied really close to the South at that point, wanted to readmit all of these southern states back into Congress, and indeed give the former slaves 5/8 of a person representation without even allowing them to vote. And it looked like the old Confederates would come back. All the old Confederate senators showed up to be sworn in. And the Republicans who were running Congress said, hey, wait a minute, we don't want this to happen. And they passed the 14th Amendment, which imposed on the states the Bill of Rights and did a lot of other really great things, and repealed the 5/8 rule. But one of the things it did was that it said that any debts the government has incurred in the course of the Civil War shall be honored by the government, because they were worried that the Southerners would take over Congress and repudiate the Union debt, and perhaps also assume the Southern debt, Confederate debt, and make it a liability of the federal government. So they put a clause in the 14th Amendment saying that if Congress appropriates money and the President signs it, and the money is spent and a debt is incurred, it has to be repaid. And while it referred to the insurrection in there, it was somewhat broader applicability. And Charles Evans Hughes wrote in a Supreme Court opinion that the clause could be construed more widely than just linked to the Civil War debt. Well, Obama's planning to drive a truck through it, or a tank more likely. What he wants to say is that if Congress votes an appropriation and the President signs the budget, and the federal government has to borrow the money to pay for that appropriation, it should be able to do so under the 14th Amendment without requiring a raising of the debt limit. Now, of course, the 14th Amendment only applies to repayment of the debt. It doesn't deal with the issue of incurring the debt in the first place. So his argument is probably constitutionally flawed. But in any case, it's horrific that we would literally lose control over the amount of debt our country is incurring. The Obama agenda is now becoming clear. It is just massive, massive spending, borrowing, and taxing. It'll dwarf the first term. We'll be lucky if we get out of his second term with national debt below $25 trillion. It's now at 16. And eliminating the debt limit throws away our only weapon in fighting against this. Now, this is real serious. Back in 2011, when we were fighting over the debt limit, Pelosi made this proposal, and Obama said, I'm wondering if maybe I should just do this and make the court stop me. That was his phrase. And he may well do that now. And it is just horrific. It's awful, and we need to mobilize to oppose this. So there's a petition attached to this video. Please sign it. We'll send it to your member of Congress, telling him to demand that the debt limit be voted on by Congress rather than just assumed under the 14th Amendment. Let me say a word about these petitions. We have the majority in the House of Representatives. It may not look like it, but we do. And if we can get our Republican congressmen to stand firm on stuff, we can stop Obama from bankrupting this country. But they need to have some evidence that the base hasn't just gone to sleep. They think everybody's turned off TV and they're not watching anything and they're not concerned and we can do anything we need to do because they're just not paying attention. Well, that's not true. It can't be true. And we really need your help in stopping this. Thanks a lot for watching.